be normal and get together. We can sneak away to Steve's Hideaway here in KW. And he's been a big supporter all along for freedom. So if anybody's thirsty, this is the place to be if you thirst for freedom. So I want to just say a couple things today. 2 years ago, many of us were in Ottawa. Many of us wanted to be in Ottawa as well. And I'm not going to get into all the stories. I think there's two things that are important. One is about freedom, and the other is about the COVID con that we've all experienced. And it was a con job for the last 4 years. People made money on this. People made money on putting other people in misery and anxiety and depression. And they made gobs and gobs of money from that misery and from taking away our freedom. And you know why we can all say it's a fraud and a con job? Because as soon as we were in Ottawa, as soon as thousands and thousands of people came to Ottawa, we were telling Trudeau and all the other politicians we weren't buying their con anymore. And what happened? As the horns were honking, as the bouncy castles were bouncing, as the road hockey games were road hockeying, what happened? Well, the science began to change. And Doug Ford says, we're going to take the mask mandates off in a couple of weeks. You don't have to be here in Ottawa anymore. And Justin Trudeau says, we're going to take the vaccine passports and the mandates off in a couple of weeks. You don't have to be here anymore. The science was changing with every horn that was honking. That's what the science was. It was bullshit then, and it's bullshit today. Yeah. And this comes to the big point here. It was all about freedom. Freedom to not coerced or compelled to do the evil that they wanted us to do. That's what it was. We were free to say, no, we're not going to comply with you. And we're not going to buy your con job anymore. And there's more cons on the way, though. Just as there's been more cons in the past. Our governments, our institutions, our law enforcement, they're all part of the con. Some of them are so bloody stupid that they don't even know they're part of the con. And let me tell you, we don't elect intelligent people. Intelligence is not on the ballot in Canada. Our political parties skew and manipulate the nomination system so they get a bunch of pansies and patsies in there for you to choose from. The political parties are part of the con. And, we're going to have more of these. Climate change, con job. Just like Y2K was a con job. 15-minute cities is a con job. Just like the population bomb is a con job. But each one of these is a prey on people to take the money from the little people so the big people get bigger. That's all this is about. That's all it is. So 15-minute cities, central bank digital currencies, artificial intelligence, all this is just a bloody con. And we can say no, and we have to say no. And I'll tell you, I'll share you this one little story. Of course, I'm not in elected office anymore. Thank God. Because you can't drain a swamp when you're standing in the middle of it. That's what I learned. When you want to drain a swamp, you got to do it from the outside in, not from the inside out. And that's what we can all do, is drain this bloody swamp and this bloody con job. And so, but also part of this con, as they called us the fringe, they called us the minority, the people with the unacceptable views, and we stood our ground and we showed them what freedom, faith, family was also fun in Ottawa. We had lots of fun. Lots of fun. We were exuberant, joyful. I've never seen anything. It'll certainly be forever in Canada's history that we showed the world how to stand for faith, for freedom, for family, and how to win. But they went after a lot of us, and there was a lot of people still battling and fighting in the courts. So I do want to say, if you can help any people out, there's a lot of people still fighting, and they need our help. So whether it's the independent media, all the people who are fighting still, I'll tell you, I still have 14 charges, 9 of them criminal from Ottawa. But I've thrown away my lawyer. I said, I'm not going to have one of these lawyers who are just part of the legal machine and the legal monsters to suck the money out of us. I'm going to fight on my own 2 feet. And even though the Crown wants to put me in jail for 3.5 years for what I did in Ottawa, bugger them all, we're going to stand and we'll fight in the courts now as well. And they're going to hear the truth. And so help us out. And I will say, this con has to end, and we're the ones to do it. And I just want one other interesting little element before I pass it off to the best damn roofer, wherever he is. He's warming up inside. I'm the warm-up one for the best damn roofer. And then we're going to go inside. We're going to do it.
Freedom! All right, I'm going to have to warn you guys, if you drink that beer, you might start acting like me. Yeah.
But let me just finish off. So here we are. I'm the small fringe minority in Canada that the media won't touch us. The politicians won't touch us. The institutions won't touch us. A whole bunch of Canadians, myself included, have been invited down to Washington this week for the International COVID Summit. Right? And a whole bunch of us, including myself, have been asked to testify at the U.S. Senate next week as well. So the Canadians want to hide. The Canadian politicians want to hide. We're not going to let them hide. We're going to keep the pressure on, and we're going to make sure that our children and our grandchildren have a free country just like we did. Thank you very much, and I'll pass it over to the best damn mover.
Freedom!